and they like I joined like 10 years ago or something because I didn't know anyone else who was an engineer or producer. And I wanted to make friends with them.
This is like AES or something for England?
Yeah, pretty much. Like AES does exist here, but it's sort of more on the super technical side, whereas I think the MPG, it's more about the working side of being a producer or a, studio folk than the technical side. Or like we have the musicians union here as well in the UK.
Right.
So it's kind of like that, but for...
Oh, it's like the Actors Guild in New York or, something like that.
So, they have an awards ceremony every year. And, just really weirdly, last November, I found out that I was nominated, like in the final 3 for this award. And it was so weird because I was working a full-time job as a transfer engineer at the time. I was just mastering evenings and weekends. And I was a bit like, well, fuck, this is really strange. And it gave me like massive anxiety because in my head, I wasn't a mastering engineer yet. I was a transfer engineer who did mastering on the side and would like to go into mastering full time. I had my studio, but I was building it up so slowly because gear's expensive and, it's weird seeing super privileged people move through the music industry really, really quick. But when you're not super, super privileged, it can be frustrating being like, oh, those monitors that I really would like are $4,000. I'm going to have to save up for 3 years for those, which is what I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think just because everyone else who was nominated seemed like, A, they were loads older than me and had been mastering since I was born, pretty much. B, they'd had loads of big records. And C, they worked for massive mastering houses and were people that I've massively looked up to for years and years. And I was a bit like, I shouldn't be in this list. Like mastering is just a thing I'm building up on the side. It's what I want to go into. But that was really like, I don't know.
Validating?
No, it was like
overwhelming.
Overwhelming and terrifying. Like,
yeah.
I really couldn't see why I was in that list of people, and it was just really strange and scary, and I don't know, it was a really negative experience. And it's weird feeling negative about something that should be a positive. Like, yeah, I didn't work for about 3 months because I just couldn't get my head around it. And it gave me really bad imposter syndrome because when you look at that list, I was basically an imposter.
Wow.
Which is pretty crazy. But then I got nominated again this year, and it's kind of cool because I'm not the only female in the category now. And
nice.
Yeah. Like, one of the other nominees is a similar age to me, and we get on really well. And it's kind of, this year, it's just a sort of, that's nice. I'm grateful for this. But
wow.
Yeah, strange. It's so strange.
Wow. Well, how did you get over that, like, anxiety? How did you push through it?
A lot of therapy, which like,
wow, legit.
Yeah, it's just it's hard. Oh, I don't know. Like, I can't explain it. I've had other jobs on the side of being a mastering engineer for like the entire time. And so, I really felt like a fraud. I was like, I can't see why I'm in this list. This is crazy. And yeah, just lots of therapy, talking about it, and just sort of learning that, these expectations are things that I put on myself. And actually, it doesn't matter what the people think for a start, because I was a bit like, oh, people are going to look at that list and be like, yes, the other two people deserve to be on it, but why the fuck is she there? But actually, that was just something that I thought. And if other people did think like that, then who cares? That's
screw them.
Not my problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's such a strange situation. Like,
it's weird how we can like strive for success, yet fear the success itself. You know what I mean? I know that I've like also had that feeling of like, oh, but like I won't actually succeed, so it's okay. Like if I succeed, I'll have to deal with all those other things. You know what I mean? Like I've gone that path for sure.
It's crazy, and also I don't think anyone comes into the technical side of audio, and you just don't think you're gonna have the spotlight shone on you. Like that's why I chose the technical side rather than a performance side, is because I don't really like that sort of attention. It feels very weird. So to be like, oh, I'm just doing my thing, I'm working on my tapes during the day and then I'm working on some records during the evening. This is fine. I'm having a nice time. And then to all of a sudden just be like, spotlight. I was just like a rabbit in the headlights. It just, completely knocked me over. But
wow. Were you able to, in the end, leverage that, that nomination into kind of, I guess, moving into more full-time, just mastering for clients, or just in general?
Sure. So, that's exactly what happened, actually. So for all of the sort of anxiety and imposter syndrome that being nominated gave me, it also did mean that more people sort of took me a bit more seriously and I guess found me online or whatever. And so I actually went full-time mastering at the beginning of September this year. Not this year. God, where are we? Last year.
I don't even know what year it is, right? Like
the beginning of September 2020. So I'd gone part-time at my transfer job in January 2020. And I was kind of like, oh, it's a fixed contract job. It's for a really cool project that the British Library are running called Unlocking Our Sound Heritage. And they've got I think they've got 10 engineers working on or when I was there, I don't know what they're doing now, but we were digitizing over 4 machines at a time. So that's I think some days I digitize nearly 30 tapes, depending on the length, which is a lot. And then you've got 10 engineers all doing that kind of output, which is amazing. And then they've got hubs all around the UK. I think they've got 10 different hubs with one engineer at each, digitizing on 2 machines at a time. So they're preserving so many sounds that haven't been listened to. A lot of them haven't even been listened to since the sounds were made, which is crazy.
Wow. These are newsreels from the BBC, like that kind of stuff?
Yeah, all different kinds of things. So loads of old news, wildlife sounds, folk music, recordings. Wow. I did some political tapes, which were very eye-opening about, debate tapes.
Wild.
Yeah, really diverse range of material. Can't remember why I'm talking about this, but it's really cool anyway. But that's what I was working in, and so it's a fixed length project. And I was kind of like, oh well, at the end of the project, I'll kind of, I might get a bar job and do mastering part time or something. But yeah, it happened quite naturally. So I went part time in January 2020, and then it was really strange at the start of March. There was 2 weeks where I had no mastering work whatsoever, and people were emailing me going, "Oh, I know you've given me a quote for mastering, and I know I've kind of booked in, but can we postpone that because I don't have any income."
The world was falling apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was scary, and I was kind of like, oh, I don't know if I can survive on my part-time job. That's a bit crazy.
Yeah.
And then after that 2 weeks, I mean, I don't know if I kind of promoted harder. I think I did a couple of Facebook ads during those 2 weeks because I was just like, oh, need to get some work in. But I don't think I really did anything super different. But after that, I just started getting more and more work. And because obviously we were at home all the time and my studio is now at home, I was like, cool, I'll take this because I'm basically free all the
Nowhere
time
better
now.
to go.
Got nowhere to be.
Yeah, nothing else is happening.
That's it. So
Literally.
I was just taking more and more work on. And it was crazy. I was working so much, but it didn't feel like work. It just felt like, fun making music with people, which was great. And it really it kept me going through lockdown, which was probably, I don't know, now I'm feeling the isolation, but the first lockdown was really...
That's so interesting.
Yeah, it was really cool because I was meeting all of these people I'd never worked with before and meeting them online and, people in different countries and different time zones. And there was loads of different music that I don't know if I would have normally got to work on. So that was awesome.
It's so interesting how each of the lockdowns has a different psychology.
Totally.
I'm thinking just for me, the first lockdown, I was finding silver linings. We were watching Tiger King. I don't think I worked at all pretty much other than doing the podcast. The podcast got me through this, Corona so far. But I barely did any work the first lockdown. And this lockdown, I'm juggling a lot of work and the podcast and not having daycare. And I don't know, the first lockdown, I was cooking all these meals. Second lockdown, we were eating total crap. It's been such a interesting, just every stage of this has been so different, at least I'm sure for you also.
Yeah, no, they've totally all had really different feelings. The second lockdown was weird because it was just after Halloween here in the UK and, we went to the pub for a drink with some mates because you were allowed to be in a group of 6 people. But we knew that lockdown was happening the next day. So when we said bye to each other, it was I don't know when we're going to see each other again. It was really strange because we'd just gotten used to actually, being able to go out. And then all of a sudden it got taken away. And now this lockdown, it just feels very more a bit like the first one, cram everything in and hope for the best. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting. It's cool that you were able to capitalize at least on the fact that you just had to be home and just get to work, That's something productive to come out of it.
Yeah. It was surviving. I don't think I'd have survived as well without working on as much stuff. But yeah, eventually when it was coming to the end of lockdown in kind of June-ish, when restrictions were easing up, I was getting a bit oh, I feel like I've worked too hard for a very long time. And it was then I kind of started having conversations with my manager at my transfer job being oh, okay, I feel like I'm going to need to go freelance now. And then, the last day of August was my last day. It's so weird though. I was really sort of panicking about going freelance, but actually it's kind of fine. If I used to be freelance when I started off, I don't know, 12 years ago or something. And it was just always really stressful. And especially now when it's time to do your taxes, it always felt there's just always something to be stressed about. Whereas now, I don't know if it's because it's lockdown and, I'm probably being a bit more organised than I normally would. But it definitely doesn't feel as scary right now. I might change my mind on that, but...
Yeah, I mean, also it's so different to be freelance in different countries. Different, we're our countries are probably quite different in terms of what it is like to be a freelancer. You know what I mean? Just the way the taxes work and all that stuff. So yeah, it has its it has its pluses and minuses, right? It's like anything.
For sure, yeah.
Israel, they want people to be employed. They don't really want you to be self-employed.
Really?
So I mean, yeah, it's much easier to be employed in this country. Like, it's easier to make more money. Like the way the VAT works and all that stuff. It's difficult, but